Hod is the sphere of mind, language, and form. It is the radiance that manifests through words and order. It governs how we express truth through speech, text, knowledge, and structure. It is the place where truth takes form, but also the place where we can get lost in the illusions of words. There are words that don't just describe, they create reality. What does that mean? When you say to yourself, "I can handle this," your energy gathers, and suddenly you really do have strength. When you repeat, "Nothing will work out for me," the world seems to bend to those words, and everything grows heavier. Words are not just sounds. They are codes that direct your mind and shape your future. You can describe reality, or you can form it. Every time you name something, every time you give power to a word, you set a vibration in motion, one that rearranges the space around you. That is why in ancient traditions, words were considered magic. This is the energy of Hod, when speech becomes not just explanation, but creation itself. There is a radiance that does not arise on its own, but reflects the light of higher spheres. Think of the moon. It has no light of its own, it only reflects the sun. And yet, this reflection fills the night with brightness and gives us a path in the dark. This is how the energy of Hod works. It does not invent light, but becomes a mirror for it. Through you can pass wisdom, inspiration, knowledge, not merely your own, but something greater than you. When you speak words that suddenly resonate with others, when your speech inspires, comforts, or guides, that is the radiance of Hod. It does not belong to you. You are only reflecting what is higher, purer, deeper. The secret is this: the power of your word does not come from inventing it. It comes from reflecting the light that has always been there. This radiance is Hod, the gate through which thought takes form. Thoughts on their own are invisible. They are like clouds, drifting, shifting, dissolving. But once you speak them or write them down, they take form. A word is a gate. It turns the inner into the outer, the unseen into the seen. An idea, while it lives only in your mind, is just a possibility. But once you find words for it, it becomes reality. Something others can touch, feel, respond to. Through these gates are born books, contracts, prayers, vows. The moment you name something, it begins to live in the world. This is the power of Hod, turning the intangible into the tangible. That is why what we speak is not just sound. It is the doorway through which we release thought into life, where truth becomes word and word becomes law. The essence of Hod translates as glory, majesty, or splendor. It is the sphere of mind, speech, language, and structure. If Netzach is the impulse of action and the living flow of energy, then Hod is the form, the reflection, the understanding. Hod is a mirror. It does not generate light on its own, but reflects it, just as the moon reflects the sun. Here, ideas find order, and flowing energy finds structure. This is where systems of knowledge are born, where laws, texts, and teachings take shape. Imagine a stream of water, powerful, alive, but without form. This is what ideas are like. They come as flashes, as inspiration, as raw energy. Manifestations in life. The energy of Hod reveals itself in our ability to explain and to express. When we find the right words, when we bring clarity to a thought, when we create a system that allows knowledge to be passed on, Hod is at work within us, Teachers, writers, speakers, lawyers, philosophers, programmers, all carry its energy. In everyday life, Hod is the power to bring order out of chaos, to make a plan. Distortions of Hod error of perception. If I can explain it, it is true. If I cannot, then it does not exist. This is the trap of the mind when a person begins to believe that only what can be expressed in words is real. But think of intuition, love, the sense of meaning or the presence of God. They cannot always be explained, yet they are no less real. In this error, a person limits reality only to what can be described or proven, and in doing so, they lose touch with the mysterious, with living experience, with what lies beyond words. Error of behavior. Hiding behind knowledge and words. Here the mind and speech turn into a shield. A person talks endlessly, cites facts, argues, debates, all to avoid touching their own feelings, to avoid living through pain, fear, vulnerability. Instead of taking action, they escape into endless explanations. Why it won't work, why it's too soon, why the time isn't right. They build walls of words instead of opening their heart or taking a step. Error of expectation. They will hear me if I speak cleverly enough. Here the hunger for recognition is born. A person tries to speak beautifully, to use complex words, to build theories. But if there is no real experience behind those words, they remain empty. People sense the falseness. Even if the form shines, the content does not touch. The power of speech is not in how smart it sounds, but in how sincere and lived it is. Each of these errors turns the gift of Hod into distortion. But once you recognize them, the word becomes once again a mirror of truth, not a mask. The path of healing. Hod comes into balance when words become transparent to truth, when we speak not for glory, but to carry light, when knowledge does not close the heart, but unites with it. Healing Hod means allowing words to be a reflection of inner radiance, not a replacement for reality. It is learning that silence can be as sacred as speech, and in that silence, Hod becomes a pure mirror that reflects truth without distortion. The energy of Hod aligns when our words are honest and clear, when we speak not to show off or seek approval, but to share something real. Words lose their power if they come only from the mind, but when they are joined with the heart, they become alive, and people feel it. Sometimes silence speaks more than long explanations. Silence, too, can be sacred, because within it, true meaning can be heard. A simple practice. Today, give attention to your words. 1. Before you speak, ask yourself, am I saying this to show myself, or to share the truth? 2. Speak the phrase aloud and feel. Does it carry the heart, or only the mind? 3. Allow yourself a moment of silence. Silence says more than 1,000 words. When your words become a reflection of your inner radiance and not a substitute for reality, Hod shines purely. Your words become mirrors of truth. Now, close your eyes. Remember a word that feels sacred to you. Say it aloud and feel how it vibrates not only in the air, but inside your heart. Words can be a doorway, but only if behind them there is silence. Hod is a radiance that does not belong to you, but flows through you. You are the mirror. You are the vessel. And your task is not to hide the light behind words, but to let words become its reflection. Subscribe, and remember, truth does not live in words, but words can be its mirror.